What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another podcast of the Corbin Claypool Show, guys. In the past, we've done a lot of life stories, as you've seen, which have been really cool, fun podcasts. But we are 100% focused on delivering value in the real estate space. Today, we have an awesome guest on who's already closed over $5 million in transactions as an individual agent here in the Fresno area in Central Valley. He's young, he's a killer, and I just want to talk to him about what he's doing, and he can deliver some key value to everybody here because there's a lot of people struggling. And I wanted to talk to Nik about how he's making things happen. So Nik, go ahead and introduce yourself, brother, and let's get into this.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nik. Been doing real estate about 3 years, and been killing it ever since.
So, dude, we are going to close together this month like 3 or 4 deals.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
Is it 4?
I think so.
That's incredible, man. I remember, so a little backstory about this whole thing. I remember Nik reaching out. He's like, hey, man, I want to let's grab some coffee. Let's talk about this. And I was like, okay, cool. So we went and grabbed coffee. And a lot of the times, and don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of times people are like, I'm going to go and make something happen.
Yeah.
Right. And they say they're going to go out and get it. And you're like, okay. So I was hearing what he had to say. I was like, okay, this young guy seems hungry. And you're young to me, bro, because I'm 10 years older than you. Right. But this young guy seems hungry. He seems like he's getting after it, but we'll see. And then, man, the guy just started crushing and sending us leads to get pre-approved and all this. And I was like, well, this guy's he's the real deal.
I'm telling you.
And so tell me a little bit, first off, let's start. So you were in the builder business. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you learned a little bit from the builder business that allowed you to move that over to the sales side? Or was that just kind of a means to an end to save up some money so that you could invest in your business on the real estate side?
Because my first year in real estate, I actually didn't do too bad. I had no leads, no nothing, and I think I ended up closing 12 my first year as a 21-year-old.
Okay.
And but didn't know how to keep it consistent, right?
Right.
It was just a bunch of hustling and closing 1 or 2 deals, 3 deals maybe, and then back to hustling again. And I just didn't know how to use my money. I would have really good mentors in my life, telling me you should invest in this or that, but I was just too young to understand that, right? And so I was a year 2. This was when we started hitting the very high rates, 7-8%.
Oh, wow.
Right after COVID.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, let me just try a builder job, let's see what they do and all that, because for some reason they're always selling 300-400 homes a year, right? So I went into that business, and it's my main job was to just deal with leads. I wasn't doing the selling. I did the selling my first year, but my second year was just converting leads and assigning them to agents.
So what would that look like? Phone calls, cold calls, people calling in to the builder? Hey,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I never did any cold calls.
Okay.
I still hate it till this day. But it was mostly leads from Facebook, Google, Zillow, all different types of lead sources from different avenues. Mm-hmm. And my job was, as soon as I got a lead, I had to call them within the first 2 minutes, because the chances of you ever connecting with a lead, online lead, after 2 minutes decreases about 60-70%.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's speed to lead for me is key. As soon as I get a lead, I get to it right away. Mm-hmm. And my whole goal is just to be face-to-face with that guy. I don't care if he's approved. I don't care what's his life story. I'm not going to pre-qualify him. I just want to meet him. And then once I meet him, it's a lot easier to build that rapport, to tell him to get pre-approved and all that. Right.
So you get in front of them so you can establish the rapport, basically, rather than trying to sell them on the phone.
Exactly.
So with the builder, is that a requirement of theirs? Hey, you have to call within 2 minutes. These leads come in.
Yeah.
They put that on.
You have to. Well, it's 5 minutes, but the faster you are, the faster they're gonna respond. Because you have to think of it like that. Someone just submitted a form.
They want answers. They're on it. Let's go. What's going on?
Now, right. It's it's just, as soon as they're on it, you have to be on top of it. You have to call them at that point, because that's when their intent is at the highest position that they'll ever be. Right. For example, I could look at a house right now, but I could forget about it tomorrow.
Right.
So it's that's why you have to contact them as soon as you get it, because then it's a lot easier for them to spark that conversation. Hey, why are you looking? Mm-hmm. How long you been looking and stuff like that. They're more likely going to pick up the phone call.
Gotcha. So speed to lead is the first thing that you've done
Yeah.
to kind of put yourself on track this year. Now, as far as you branched out from the builder to your own stuff, what did that look like? What are you doing to get leads? If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to. And how are you converting those leads so effectively?
Yeah, so most of my business is Zillow. Like there's a lot of hate with Zillow, but it's like why hate it? It's like it's there. It's not gonna go anywhere at this point, right? So most of it Zillow. Now we branched out to Realtor.com. We're probably gonna do Google too, because the conversion rate is probably the highest on Zillow and Realtor.com, because those are the two main sites where everybody looks at homes. And then anything else, you're probably looking at 1 or 2% conversion rate.
And Zillow is probably the GOAT, right?
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
Zillow is better than pretty much any other lead
I would say
source
so,
for the
yeah.
most
Like,
part.
Zillow and Realtor.com are very close.
Right.
But Zillow probably will be the best.
And you bring up a good point. I do see a lot of hate on Zillow, like, oh, why are you investing in Zillow? Dude, somebody's going to invest in it.
Exactly.
Somebody's going to win with Zillow. And guess what? If Zillow's going to take over, they're going to take over anyways.
Exactly.
Like, there's nothing we can do. Like, may as well benefit from it while we can.
Exactly.
And use it as a marketing tool. And honestly, I don't see them like people are like, oh, well, Zillow wants to, do everything with the deal. I don't think they want to do that, man. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be very naive and ignorant to this whole thing, but I don't see them doing that. Why would you do that when you have a business that's purely an informational business that you're making billions of dollars on just by sharing information?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's a lot better than, hey, now we're actually going to start getting into the nitty gritty, showing homes and all this. I don't think they want to do that, dude. I think they just want to own all of the information possible on every person that ever wants to buy a home and sell that information to people like, people like yourself.
Yep.
So,
exactly. And surprisingly enough, Fresno is the only city where we don't really have a big Zillow player. Like before I got into Zillow, what I did was I talked to a bunch of top brokers from different states and different cities, and like some of them have like a 300K ad spend, 400K ad spend, and all that. Like I've seen single agents with like a 200K ad spend. It's like Fresno is the only city.
how much are they closing from that?
It depends on what the market is and all that. Like
200K ad spend a year or a month?
a year.
A year, okay.
Yeah, 200K a year, 300K. The highest I've seen was this broker that had like 95% market share on Realtor.com in I think it was Dallas, Texas. Yeah, so Fresno is nothing like that. Like we have a bunch of smaller players with different zip codes and stuff like that, but we don't really have anyone that's like fully on going big at it.
What do you think the holdback with people that, let's say it's a younger agent and they're like, oh, I don't have the money to invest in Zillow, right? What would you recommend for them?
I think like if I could start back my first year when I had no leads, no nothing, like I hustled for a good 3 months before I made my first 25K. And my biggest mistake was I got comfortable, right? It's like it's hard to stay hungry like when your belly's full. So it's like that money
That's real.
I'm telling you, bro, I should have used that money towards like actually making my business bigger, right? Advertising, leads, marketing, and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to also understand where you want to invest it or like how fast of a return that you want. So if you go on like advertising on social media, you're more likely not going to get a deal or two for a whole year, right? Depending on what kind of advertising you do. So that's why Zillow is pretty good, because they'll send you like as soon as you spend the money, you're going to start getting leads
That you can close.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what would you recommend, like if they're a brand new agent, to start out with their ad spend there? Like, could they start out? I'm just trying to make it for a new agent, because I know there's going to be some younger agents that see you and they're like, holy shit, like this guy's closing 5 million plus and I barely closed one deal in 3 months. And they're going to want to know what you're doing. So would spending $500 a month just to start be an option for them, where they can maybe start closing one deal a month through Zillow through that? Or what do you think with
I
that?
say, like, if you can just close at least one from sphere of influence or like kind of anybody, the average commission in Fresno is like 9,000, 9,000, right? So once you have that money, is like you should be able to you have to be willing to spend at least that, because like all it takes is one deal, right? So it's like if I know I can make $9,000 on one deal, my personal opinion, I'm okay with spending $9,000
Right.
until I get at least one deal, because there's no risk in that. Like it's like like with Zillow, I would say you probably need, depends on the zip code, stay away from like the very high net worth zip codes like 600K, 700K and all that, because they're going to cost a lot and you're only going to get 1 or 2 leads. And Zillow only has like a 3% conversion rate. So go for like a smaller zip code, 250, 300K, and get 10 leads.
3% conversion rate. Now, is that based on live connections or just leads they send you? Are live connections higher conversion rates?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
So live connections, like they're sending them to you and they're already on the phone and all that. It's not most likely going to be like all of them are going to be actually looking to buy a house. You're going to get people just asking questions. People, sometimes I even got agents calling me on that. But it's just a numbers game. At the end of the day, you're not paying for the leads. You're paying for the exposure and you're paying for the calls that are going to get through that zip code.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to get a mix of everybody.
So what I love to see is you're business minded, right? A lot of people get in this business and it's like, oh, I'm going to close deals and I'm going to make all this money and this and that. And it's like 2 things. One, I want to say invest back in your business, take that money and start generating more revenue, whether that's through lead spend, flyers, whatever it is. And don't be scared to do that.
Exactly.
Right. I think that's oftentimes what happens to some agents and loan officers is they get comfortable closing a deal or 2 and then they never grow.
Yeah.
Because one, their time is used up because, you mentioned before we were on the podcast about how your TC is doing a majority of the heavy lifting for you so that you can go focus on getting more business. So there's a couple little things there. You mentioned something about your belly being full. I dealt with that in 2021. I closed a lot of deals and I made very good, like it set me up for be set up for a good while, right? And I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna chill, And I had the way I reignited my flame is like, of course we are in business to make money. I don't want to make it like, oh, it's never about the money because that's full of shit, right? And I know a lot of people like want to play that like, I don't know the right word to use. Like they want to play that like superiority like route where they tell people that it's never about the money and this and that. People are in business to make money. Otherwise you would have went and done something like, whatever. So that being said, it doesn't have to be our main focus. And when I turn my focus to like, I want to win, right? Like I want to be the best, that, like I want to be number 1. And when I shifted my focus to that, and then I want to help the most possible people, I want to deliver the most value to my community. When I started focusing on those things, then I became a freaking Energizer bunny, bro. Like I'm in the office every single day at like 8 a.m. and I'm there all day and I have no problem doing it. And I love it because I've kind of at this point have made my money and I have my investments and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily need to go keep making all this money. But it's like, what keeps you driven? What keeps you moving forward? And so you mentioned your belly being full, and that's a definite thing that people I think face in this industry is they have a few good months and they're like, oh, like I'm good. I'm going to go on a vacation or whatever. It's like, okay, well then what are you really doing this for? I think if you ask yourself that, then you can kind of push yourself to the next level. Yeah.
No, yeah. And I agree with you. Like I don't think it's bad for you to like have fun and stuff like that, right? It's like, like a lot of people that I've seen in this business, because it's very easy to make a lot of money. All it takes is 2 deals. You'll be like a 16, 17,000, whatever it is. And it's like, once they make it, they're like, okay, my bills are paid. It's like, I don't have to hustle as much. I don't have to go to the office. Like I can just go chill and stuff, right? Like me is like, I'll make a lot of money, but I'll also spend a lot of money.
Right, yeah. Right? So are you a big spender? Do you like,
that's my biggest con. Is like, I'll spend like, I've had months like, dude, like, 20K, like just gone, stuff like that.
Are you serious, dude?
I'm kidding.
I think we've all had those, but like talking to you like a big brother, man, you're in such a young age, dude. Like I would freaking start and buy real estate, dude.
Yeah.
Start buying so much real estate. And by 32, by my age, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to close deals, I guess. Like I don't need to, but I will, you know? So, but dude, I know exactly what you mean because it's easy to have fun with it, right? It's easy to spend it.
I'm telling you, especially when you're 24, it's like, dude, like I can just make it again next month.
Dude, when I was 24, you have no kids, obviously, right? You have no kids, you're not married, so it's like, yeah, you're living life right now, man. And when I was 24, I mean, dude, I wasn't even really working. to be honest with you. I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
So you are so far ahead of most people. Like you have your head on straight. Like even with what you're doing, you're going to be set up. You're doing a good job, bro. Yeah. So you call those Zillow leads. How do you convert them? Like, what do you do to convert these leads when you're on the phone with them?
So I'm telling you, I'm probably the most annoying agent you'll ever like meet. Like I get a lead, I'll be on the phone, and I'll be like everything in the first conversation goes really well. Like it's always about what are you looking for, how long you've been looking, and what's the reason you've been looking, right? So I kind of get an idea what kind of buyer they are. So it's like, oh, I've only been looking for a month, and okay, at least I know he's already pulled the trigger. He's already looking at homes and stuff like that. He's someone that's going to move fast. And then you have people that have been looking for like, oh, I've been looking for a year. I know that guy's going to take a little bit, you know? So it's like, and then on top of that is like, my main goal is just to get the guy to meet him at whatever house he inquired about, just so I can meet him face to face, right? Because once I meet him face to face, I think it's a lot harder for people to just ignore you and stuff like that, and just ghosting and things like that, because it's like you've met this person face to face, like you've built a relationship. They driven there, they showed you the house and all that. So once I meet them face to face, it's a lot easier to follow up. People will respond to you like a lot faster, a lot sooner compared to like just trying to sell someone on the phone, because all it takes is, oh, I have to think about it, and then as soon as he hangs up, it's like he can just ghost you. You were just someone that tried to sell him a home over the phone. You know, so my main goal is meet him, and then after that, depending on what he's doing, is I'll follow up with them, you know, like, because you'll get to know someone's character once you meet him. Like, oh, he's not gonna like the fact that I'm gonna text him every day. Oh, he's not gonna mind and all that, because you're gonna build a relationship.
Right. And that's the same thing with loans. I mean, everybody nowadays does stuff online, and I almost feel like it shortchanges us a little bit.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh, it's just some dude I'm talking to over the phone. Oh, it's just a picture on an email. When a client comes in, some of the old school clients want to come in. It's like, dude, they're locked. Like, they're never going anywhere. They want to work with us. They've met my team. They've met me. So I know exactly what you mean. When you meet somebody, it's like instant rapport, and they know they can trust you.
Yep.
Versus like, oh, we're just a salesperson on the other side of the phone. Exactly. Like, no, we're actually here to help you, you know, but we got to get past that barrier to show you that.
Yep. So exactly. And the thing about Zillow is like a lot of people hate on it, because it's like they expect to get a lead and that lead to close and all that, but the whole business model of Zillow is just to put you in front of people, right? So it's like you'll get people that are never gonna buy for a year or two, but like if you just put them in a drip system in your CRM, forget about it, it's like you'll always be like, always be there.
So what you're telling me is you actually have to call the leads.
Yeah.
You have to actually call the leads. And you have to follow up with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like, I don't do cold calls though. Like
that's like mind blowing, bro. I didn't think that you had to call them. I thought you could just like talk to them through your mind and just be like, hey, you're gonna buy a house. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, that's I feel like sometimes happens. They call one time. Oh, the guy didn't answer. That's a shit lead. Like, dude, yeah, you know, they may not be as good of a client or a lead if they're not gonna pick up. But sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 follow-ups to check in, right?
And I'm telling you, I hate calling people. Like, it's like if I could just do a deal through text, that's the way I would go.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and most of my follow-up is like, I'll do like 1 or 2 calls a month for the same lead.
Okay, let's talk about this, bro. This is super interesting. Okay, so there's some really good agents that I know that are all about the calls. It's like you call, but you text everybody.
I text everybody.
Bro, so you're closing all these deals just by texting them, basically.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
That's insane. That's like I feel like that's a clip-worthy moment, because everybody's like, call. So tell me this. So you get a lead, you text them.
No, when I get a lead, the first thing I do is call them.
Okay, you call them right away. Okay.
Yeah, I call them just because if I can get them on the phone, it's like I'm probably going to connect with them better over text. But let's say they don't answer, and let's say right after the first call is done and all that, they end up not buying anything, they end up not scheduling something. Like, I'm going to text that dude or whoever it is for like every single 2-3 days. It's like,
and so sometimes you feel like you text them, and like you've called them one time, you're not going to call them again, probably, right?
I'm probably
maybe or maybe won't.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're going to start texting them.
Yep.
And the conversion rate on text message, you feel like is higher or lower than the calls?
So I've done both. Like when I was in the builder side, I was required to call people, but I was like, people don't like to pick up the phone nowadays. It's like everybody's getting calls left and right. I get like 15 spam calls every morning. I'm not gonna call them back.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like if I can just text someone, it's like, hey, this is Nick. We talked 2 weeks ago. Are you still looking? Like, where are you at right now, and all that.
That's huge, I feel like, bro, because you're kind of, until you can kind of introduce yourself and be like, hey, like, I'm not a spam caller. Like, you actually opted in to hear from somebody. My name's Nick. I'm waving my hand at you on a text message, letting you know who I am.
Yep.
Get back to me at your own leisure.
Yep.
Versus like trying to get them on the phone right then and there. Because it is hard too. Like we forget sometimes being in real estate that people have full-time jobs.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And they have to go to work from 8 to 5. And sometimes they can't even have their phone. So yeah, I could see how the text message would be effective.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep going.
Yeah. No, I think it's easier because it's like, I'm telling you, a lot of people, like you said, they're working and stuff like that. And let's say the way I think is, if I were someone that just got back from like an 8-hour shift, and let's say at that night I'm looking at homes, I can just text the dude that was just texting me a couple hours ago. Like I'm not gonna call him back because it's like let's say it's 9 p.m. and all that. I get texts all times. Like I get texts as late as 1 a.m. sometimes.
Really?
I'm telling you.
So let me ask you this: what does that first text message look like?
My first text is just me introducing myself, telling them like, hey, you inquired about ABC property. Do you have questions or would you like to see it? That's what I say, and that's really it.
So just super basic. How long is the text message? I have a place where I'm going with this, but is it a super thick text message, or is it like, hey, I'm Nick. Do you want to see this home? Boom.
Yep, it's very small. It's like, hey, I'm Nick from with Zillow. I don't even say my brokerage because everybody knows Zillow, so they already associate you with whatever the website is, right? So
that's smart.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm Nick with Zillow. You inquired about this property. Do you have questions? Do you want to see it? Call me back. Text me back.
So I want to bring something up on this because you bring up a really good point. Having that nice, simple text message that's not too long. I used to send this application message that I thought was so good. It was like a page long though. It was like, great speaking with you. Or, we look forward to servicing you. Welcome to this Claypool Group family. Like all this stuff. And it was like, we need all of these documents. We need all of this stuff. And like people wouldn't submit their applications sometimes with it. And I feel like my percentage of conversion has gone up since I literally say, here's the application link. Feel free. If you have any questions, call me. Yeah. And now people are like, boom, submit, boom, submit, boom, submit. It's like, okay, yes, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, but like, let's just get you to the first step first and not overwhelm you. All right. Let's just get you to the first step. So no, you bring up a good point with that. And that made a difference even in my business, just doing like a small, easy text message.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cause I think like nowadays is people like simple things, it's like no one wants to overcomplicate it. Cause like, back then, I think the difference was sales was still relatively new. Like people would get books about it, movies about it. Like I think now everybody knows if you're trying to sell them something. So it's like they're still gonna buy a house. It's like you just have to be there and like hopefully they like you because that's when they'll buy it with you.
So, yeah, something else that we've spoken about is like working with people that want to work with us, right, and that are serious about pulling the trigger. Do you feel like you've made that shift to like focus on those people? Yeah. Do you feel like you have? Yeah.
Like as soon as you told me that, I was like, I put everybody in a drip system and like I put all of the hot leads, everybody that calls me back, texts me back right away as my priority. It's like all of the normal leads is like, okay, like a AI will text you, email you and stuff like that. And if you get ever back to it, I'll talk to you. But like the hot leads is like, the people I'm sending homes to, the people I'm talking to and all that. Because I like talking to those people. It's like they're getting back to you all the time.
100%. And dude, that was a big shift for me because it was hard for me to let go. I was like, I need to like call every lead. And we still call leads and we have a full 15-day follow-up process followed by email drips and all this other stuff, monthly calls, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, what is Corbin, like where's his time focused and how do I get the most out of that? It's like, okay, we need to focus on people that are buying like now.
Yeah.
Like ready to go now. And then we can kind of direct those other people with credit repair and stuff like that. But it's like time, that was my whole thing this year is like being intentional with your time, right? If we can focus on the things that actually move the needle forward, we're going to freaking crush it, dude.
Yep.
And so I love that you're doing that and focusing on that piece, you know?
I feel like most people do that. Like not what you're doing, but like most people try to like get every lead and all that because they pay for it. So
Right.
they feel like they need to get something out of it. It's like, but at the end of the day, it's like you're not gonna convince someone to buy $500,000 house. They're gonna
Right.
buy it themselves.
Dude, thank you.
Yep.
Exactly. Like people have to be ready to buy a home. You're not selling them a car or something like that where they're on the dealership floor and you're like, all right, so how can we wheel and deal this deal and make you buy a car right now? Right? I know that that's sometimes what happens. People go into a car dealership not wanting to buy a car, or they're just like looky-loos, and they end up buying a car.
Yep.
It's not the same thing with a home because you're going to be in a 30-day process, so you have a full 30 days to think about it, and then you also have to go see all the homes and put an offer and all this stuff. So yeah, you're 100% correct. You got to work with people that are dead serious about buying and ready to rock and roll. So
Yep. Yeah. After I did that, I think we had the conversation about a month ago. I was doing. Well, I started January, but like as soon as we had that conversation this month, we were like at 4 deals, 5 deals.
that's crazy, bro.
Exactly.
I got to give you. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So, and we're going into the busy season.
Yep.
So we're just getting started. Well, we'll leave them with that. Do you want to share anything else with them that you feel like is working before we jump off this podcast? And
No, not really. I think like I keep it really simple. It's like that's the way I get leads, and that's the way I make money. So it's that's really it.
dude, I want to leave it with one last thing. I know I'm rambling, but you kept it right there. I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it basic, right? There's a number one producer who I really respect named Sean Benogian, good dude. And he posted on his Facebook how I'm where I'm at. And it was like, I do the basics every day consistently, and I've been doing it for years. And it's like, there's no special object. I even paid for coaching with Shant one time. And what I learned from that 2-hour call, which by the way was super awesome, was like, there's no special trick.
Yep.
There's no special trick. He's not doing anything different. He's just so consistent, bro. He's like the Kobe Bryant of our industry, right? That's just like, he's at practice at 5 a.m. He's like going the extra mile, doing everything he can. And, that rang true with me and kind of stuck with me when I saw him post that recently. I was like, dude, we're on the right path, right? We're doing the basics, and we just got to keep doing it and consistently do it for many years.
Like
So,
I think you have to surround yourself with people like that.
100%.
It's like the biggest thing was for me, like as soon as I started hanging out with like big players in different industries, it's like I significantly started making a lot of money.
Really?
I was at 5-6K a month and all that, and one of my buddies, very young guy, and he does equipment financing. And he was like, I was telling him like, hey, dude, I'm making 6K, and this is pretty good and all that. And he always say, bro, that's bitch money.
Oh my gosh.
And because the dude was making like 150K a month.
Wow.
Still does, and now he's in San Francisco installed.
I remember you telling me a little bit about him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as soon as you surround yourself with the right people, is like, I think sometimes people say, like, you shouldn't compare yourself, but that depends on who you compare yourself to.
Right.
So it's like, oh well, he's there and he's doing that. Like, why can't I do it?
Right. So compare yourself in a healthy way.
Exactly.
Like, why? Okay, this guy's doing it. I'm no different than him, and we can do it, right? And also comparing yourself with somebody who's gonna like pull you up and help you.
Exactly.
Right? Like help you get there.
Yep,
Not like some douche that's like trying to kick you down.
Exactly. And that's
like
another
being
big
around the
thing,
right
too.
people.
It's like you have to surround yourself with people that are gonna tell you could do better. Like for me, it's I think one of the biggest ones is probably my girl too. It's like I'm there and she's like, oh, babe, I made like 20K. Well, try 30, try 40.
She's pushing you.
I'm telling you.
Dang,
And at first you think like, wow, that's a lot. Like how am I supposed to make 40? But once you have someone that's like telling you to do it and all that, and like you actually try, you start seeing the vision. It's like, okay, I'm on 3 deals. I only need 1 more, and it's right there.
100%. I love it, brother. Well, guys, we will shut this thing down. If you want to leave them with anything else or say,
That'll be it.
all right, guys. Thank you for watching this. We'll catch you on the next one, Nick. Good shit, man.
Sounds
Happy for you. You're crushing it. It's gonna be a great year, and we'll get after it.
Sounds good, bro. Let's do it.
That was fun.
Yes, sir. Great pod.
I was like, is it my phone ringing or is it?
It was mine.